Hello,
Hello, how you going?
how are you?
Good. Everything works.
Yes. So that would have been awkward if we'd have got to the start and then it just didn't connect or you weren't there. Oh wait. Okay. Hello everyone. I'm Sylvie. I'm on the social media team here at Invoice2go, and I'm joined today by Jessica Carter from Carter Marketing Project Management to talk about Instagram and Facebook and if they're right for your construction business. So at the moment, digital marketing is so important now more than ever before, and social media can be a great way to promote your business and get new clients, but we're here to discuss today whether it's right for your particular industry. So I'll just take it over to Jess. Can you introduce yourself, tell us a little about who you are and your experience in marketing for the construction industry?
No worries. Thanks, Sylvie. Hey guys, I'm Jess. I have my own marketing business that specializes in marketing strategies for the construction industry. So I have a bunch of clients that are actively in industrial and construction marketing. That could be plumbers, electricians. I've got home builders, pool builders, basically anybody who provides a product or a service in construction. I can help. So I've got 7 years experience in those industries. And last year I decided to start my own business to help multiple small businesses achieve their goals, basically. So today I just wanted to have a bit of a rounded discussion, like you said, Sylvie, on whether social media is right for these types of businesses. And if so, is it better to use Instagram or Facebook or a bit of a combination?
Yeah, and as Jess mentioned, we're going to have a discussion of those as this kind of webinar goes on, and then we'll also have an opportunity for everyone to ask questions at the end. So if you do have a question, then do drop us a comment below and we'll happily come to you guys after that. So, okay, so I guess the first kind of question that I would want to know is like, should tradies have social media accounts? Like, it's not typically a digital marketing kind of industry, so why should a tradie have a social media account?
Yeah, cool. So there's a few different reasons. One of the most popular reasons lately is to actually help people find good staff members. So especially the younger ones, like apprentices. I guess it's one of those, if you can't beat them, join them type things. So when they're younger, they're always on social media. They're looking for good companies. So yeah, there are some companies at the moment starting up new strategies on social media to find good staff and really getting that good culture message out there through the branding on social. There's another one, there's plenty of reasons. One other reason is branding. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but people won't actually purchase your product or service until they've seen it multiple times. And one really inexpensive way to get your brand out there a bit more is social media. Lead generation, which I think we'll probably go a bit more into depth with later on in the conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a reason why a tradie would start a social media account. And another one, I guess, is if you don't have a website or you can't afford a website, it's a really good way to be able to show your work without having to manage the whole website itself. It's super inexpensive. And yeah, if you're a landscaper, for instance, you might have plenty of beautiful gardens and different constructions that you want to be able to show your clients, and you can just add your Facebook logo to your business card and they can go head over to your social media pages and see your work.
Yeah, it's quite a good way, I guess, to start out if you don't have a website and have like something that people can refer to as a gallery on Instagram and Facebook. But do you think it is important for tradies to have a website? And this is kind of going off, but how
Yeah,
important do you think it is to get a website as well?
I think these days it's super important. So people will search online for any of this stuff. So you're more likely to have somebody searching on Google than on social media. I think 80% of online searches begin with Google. So it is really important to have a website as well. It just depends on your circumstances. I think too, if your construction business is sort of like an I need it now type service, like emergency plumber, or a 24/7 Sparky, somebody's more likely to try and find you through a website by typing into Google emergency plumber Mornington, for instance, rather than scrolling through Facebook for hours on end trying to find somebody to fix their drain or their lights. So that's super important. I think too, you have to keep in mind who your customers are. So you've got high value products and services here for your clients. It's less likely for them to be jumping on Facebook and scrolling through and go, oh, hey, like I just saw a beautiful $1 million home. I should purchase that today. Whereas if they're on the couch and they feel like some chocolate and chocolate comes into their newsfeed, they're much more likely to purchase through social media simply because it's low value and they can just get it. So yeah, there's a few different reasons why you're best having a website, but it just depends on your business, I guess.
Yeah, we actually are going to be doing another webinar with Jess on the 19th of May, which is about websites and SEO. So making sure that your website ranks on Google. So that will be at a similar time in 2 weeks. So if you are interested in finding out more about a website for your business, then I definitely recommend tuning into that one as well. Okay, cool. So one of the things I think that obviously people are so keen to get with a website or social media is obviously leads and new clients. Like that is a big kind of number one aim. So with Facebook and Instagram, how well do you think these work for lead generation for tradies?
Yeah, cool. So I think it can work really well. It just depends on your commitment to creating content and your investment of time. So if you think you can only manage one post a month, it's probably not going to bring you in many leads. If you think you can post multiple times a day, but they're photos of holes in the ground or piping, again, it's probably not going to bring you in the leads that you want to be able to convert. So I guess the other thing is you have to think of these leads when they comment or when they DM you. It's really like them coming to your shop door. It depends what's inside. So they're not necessarily going to purchase from you if you can't help convert them. So the content that you need to deliver to them really has to be valuable. It really has to add value to the customer. I'll give you a couple of examples. So if you're a landscaper, for instance, you might want to provide some DIY tips for building a veggie garden or something like this. People are going to love that information. And yes, I know I've said this to people before and they come back to me and say, oh, but then what do they need me for if I tell them how to build a veggie garden?
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that they probably won't finish building the veggie garden and then they're probably going to call you to fix it and to do the rest of it. Or they were never going to purchase from you in the first place, but you've helped them anyway and they might refer you on to someone else. So social media is called social media for a reason. It is social. It's about helping other people. If that converts into leads or sales later, that's fantastic. But it probably shouldn't be your number one goal to get, say, 10,000 followers. You'd be better off trying to engage as many people as possible, getting them to comment and DM you, I guess, for more information.
And with that, what it's saying about having a goal of 10,000 followers, it's sort of meaningless, isn't it, to say I want 10,000 followers on my Instagram account, because those 10,000 followers could be from anywhere in the world and not necessarily going to convert. So I definitely would say that for Instagram and Facebook, it's better to focus on quality rather than quantity. And making sure the people that are following you actually genuinely have an interest in your services and you can provide value to them, rather than thinking of like a number that you have to achieve.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think they can end up wasting more of your time when you have too many that aren't right for you as well.
Yeah.
It's the same with Google, I guess. If somebody brings you in all these leads, but they're all the wrong type of customer, they're going to waste your time answering inquiries. So you really do just want to make sure that you've got the right customers coming through the door, so to speak.
Yeah.
Another thing is, I just wanted to mention with lead generation, is that hashtags are super underused, or not being used correctly. So sometimes I have clients coming to me and saying, I'm doing the same thing as these other couple of companies, but I don't have as many followers, I don't get as many likes, I'm not sure why. Quite often it's the way that we use hashtags. So you should try and keep on Instagram, say between 9 and 11 different hashtags, and try and mix them up. So you've got a bunch of heavy hitting ones and some lower ones. So I'll give you an example. If you're a pool builder, you might have hashtag pool, which is going to bring in a lot of different people from all over the world. But then you can put in another one, which might be concrete pool builder Mornington, and then that's going to bring in a lot less people but much higher quality. So if you mix them together, that really helps with the algorithms. And you can also use it to target other groups and customers. So if you think your stuff is relevant to, I don't know, another business that's a networking group or something that's near you, hashtag them as well. But don't do it like I wouldn't do it if it was a photo of me and my mum. I wouldn't put hashtag building group. That would be silly. It would have to be relevant.
Yeah, I definitely think hashtags are also used for people who are looking for inspiration. So with the example of the pool builder, that's a really good one, with like people who are wanting to have a pool done are probably searching Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, maybe for inspiration of what they would want themselves. So thinking about hashtags like pool inspo or Melbourne pool inspo and like inspiration style ones, and seeing how many posts are in that, because that can help you with your discoverability as well. Kind of getting into the mind of what your potential customer would be looking for on social media when you put your hashtags together.
Yeah, I agree. And one other thing I wouldn't mind noting too is with Facebook, a lot of people will post the same thing to Instagram and Facebook. I do it as well.
Yeah.
And it really is good for when you're time poor. But when you do that, just make sure that when you go into Facebook, just edit your Facebook hashtags, because it's best to only have one or two in Facebook. So just pick the best one or two and keep it in there, because Facebook has like an ideal word limit. And if you have all these irrelevant hashtags, it's just going to mark you down.
That is such a good tip. And also to remove the mention if you've tagged someone in the caption, because otherwise it just shows up as @ and it blatantly looks like you just copied it across. And it's very easy to do that, isn't it? Just to go in and edit the Facebook post, but
Yeah,
still
super
saves time.
easy. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So you mentioned about using other like tradies in the network and stuff. Obviously that networking, everyone knows, is a great way of getting new business and referrals. How would you grow a network on Instagram for tradies?
Yeah, cool. So I think if you already have contacts, and chances are you do, reach out to them as my number one tip. So if you're a painter, for instance, you might have a renderer, you might have a scaffolder, you might have a renovator, you could have, I don't know, electricians. You're going to have a bunch of other trade contacts. And if you like them and you get along well with them, just ask them to help you, and you can help them. Just like their posts, comment on their posts, share each other's stuff. That's really helpful. If you don't like them or you don't want to work with them, like I said before, social media is called social media for a reason. Reach out to other people. I mean, I met Sylvie through Instagram. We met each other on Instagram. But yeah, you can easily just use different hashtags to find other local businesses, and reach out to them and see if they want to help each other. Like, you can help each other.
Yeah.
There's also, I know it's kind of a dirty word, influencers in the construction industry, because I think we always imagine, that pretty blonde girl who's promoting travel or selling
a latte.
yeah, exactly. But that's not necessarily what an influencer is. I mean, in the construction industry, we have different pages even that are influential. I'm not sure if any of you guys are from Victoria, but Total Tools South Melbourne is huge. I think they have a following of, don't quote me on it, but I think it's around 90,000. So if they're one of your suppliers, reach out to them and see if they can help out. It might be as simple as a comment or a share. And then there's also singular influencers. There's a lot of female tradies doing really well on Instagram as well. I watched one this morning. I think it's That Plumbing Chick. She works for one of my clients, and she was posting about socks that she'd found that she was looking for everywhere for female plumbers, and it was just really, I thought it was really helpful. So there's other people like that I'm sure would be happy to do a shout out. And on top of that, there's also other pages like home building pages and stylists, and a lot of them are looking for content to feature every week. So reach out to them, just send them a DM, introduce yourself, tell them what you're looking to do, and majority of them will come back to you and help.
That's such a great idea, reaching out to kind of the home reno pages that like to amalgamate content and have it all in as like an inspiration board. I think that's a really good suggestion. With Instagram as well, it's such a visual tool, isn't it, that if you've got before and afters, that is one of the best things that you can post to show like the transformation of something and how you've made it from a hole in the ground to a beautiful pool or a new kitchen and stuff. So definitely think before and afters are a great thing that you can post and use as your content to reach out to, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I think people like to see the journey and they can relate it back to themselves. Not everybody is creative and not everybody's imaginative. They can't always picture your work in their backyard, but you know, if you show them from scratch with a hole in the ground, quite often they can relate a lot better. So yeah, it's a good idea.
Do we need to understand algorithms for Instagram and Facebook, do you think? I think this is a question that we've seen come up. I think when people are doing research into Instagram, they're like, but there's this Instagram algorithm which changed a few years ago and now it's not chronological anymore. And there's this argument that you only get seen on Instagram if you've got a big account and following already. And it's hard for people with smaller accounts to be seen in people's feeds. Would you say that's true? Or how would you go about that?
Not necessarily. I think you can still reach quality clients if you have a small account and you're using it the right way. I'm going to be super controversial and say you probably don't really need to understand everything to do with algorithms. They change every day. So to stay on top of it, it will be a nightmare. If you want to know what an algorithm is, it's basically just set up to deliver you content that you might like when you might like it. That's essentially probably all you really need to know about algorithms. It's one of those things that you can figure it out yourself. When you start posting at different times of the day, see which ones are more engaging. You know, if you're finding that people are commenting and liking more at lunchtime, post your content at lunchtime. You know, if I can probably save you some time experimenting and let you know that in the trade and construction industry, the most popular time is just after dinner. So 7:30 till 9 o'clock is quite often the best time for our sort of customers. But yeah, I guess it depends. Hot tip. Yeah. But just, yeah, experiment and see what times work best for your business. And it's the same with content. I mean, they use different methods to find out what your friends and other pages are liking. So you might find if one of your friends is constantly liking something and then you go to like it as well, you're like, oh, I'm seeing these posts and they've already liked it. That's the work of the algorithm. So they're delivering you content they think that you might like because of your past behavior, basically.
Yeah, which will work in your favor if, like, for the example prior, if someone's researching for pool builds and then they've liked something, then you're more likely to then be shown to them as a suggested account. Which again is back to hashtags as an important reason to use hashtags, because even if you don't need to understand like Instagram's algorithm, but know that using hashtags can help you.
Correct. Yeah, just think about it rationally, really. And like I said, do a bit of experimenting. If it takes you a couple of weeks to do some experimenting, it's going to save you much more time than reading 2-hour-long articles every day to try and stay on top of the algorithm.
Yeah.
But one thing that is important that you would probably learn from reading those articles is that the algorithms are spam biased. So make sure you don't go and tag your company page all over other pages, and try not to ask for likes or comments in your own posts, because they'll be seen as spam and that'll mark you down as well.
So in the caption, don't say like this post or
Yeah,
comment below kind of thing.
correct.
That's a good tip as well. Great. Which of the two social media sites, Facebook and Instagram, do you think works best for tradies? I feel like we've spoken a lot about Instagram here. Is Facebook still relevant? Do you think that people should be on there as much?
Yeah, definitely. I think Facebook's super relevant. I guess one of the key things to keep in mind is, again, who is your customer? The two are very different in who they target when it comes to age range. So there's been a lot of experiments done that prove that people under 35 are more likely to be on Instagram. People over 35 are more likely to be on Facebook. So if your target market is over 35, you are better off using Facebook. Also think about what sort of content you're providing. So Instagram's great for images, but if your content is heavily based around articles or videos or longer videos, you're probably better off with Facebook.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, good suggestion. Do you think that you should do paid social? So when I say paid social, I mean ads on Facebook and Instagram for tradies. Like if you're a plumber, for example, is something like paid ads something you should do?
Yeah, for sure. I think paid ads are very underused as well, to be honest. But there's probably a time and place for them. So in your example of being a plumber, I probably wouldn't just sponsor a post that's you driving your van to work, or you digging a hole in the ground to find a pipe. I wouldn't be sponsoring those kind of posts. But if you have a sale day or a VIP night, it's fantastic for that. You can target people really easily in certain regions, which is really helpful if you're a local plumber. So you can pick your area, you can pick your age range, you can pick people who have different hobbies and lifestyle interests. People that like other plumbing pages. So it's really good for that. But like I said, I'd just be really careful with what you're promoting. There's nothing worse than somebody having an ad that pops up every day and it's the same thing and it's not helpful at all. So think about what your customers might be interested in. It's also really good for like launching a brand new product. They haven't heard about it before. They're happy to see it once or twice. They still don't want to see boring stuff every single day. So yeah, it's probably not ideal for all scenarios, but yeah, definitely if you're having an event, it's really helpful and severely underused.
I guess going back to a point right at the beginning of this webinar when you said that people, when they have something break down, aren't going to be searching Facebook, I guess Google Ads might be a better place to put any budget if you are an emergency plumber or a tradie, rather than on Facebook ads for that kind of service.
Yeah, definitely. If you have an emergency service, I would definitely put that into AdWords instead of Facebook advertising.
Yeah, great. So obviously we've not even covered about Instagram stories and Facebook stories, which is, well, it's not even a new feature anymore, but it's something that often gets overlooked, I think, especially Facebook stories, because it's like they've kind of added that onto Facebook, pending the success of how well stories have done on Instagram. How would you use them, and how would you advise your clients to use them?
Yeah, so I think it depends on the different industries, but in construction, I think it really is a blessing for a lot of us. It gives us the ability to put all of our dirty photos, all of the big excavation equipment and those big impressive holes in the ground. We can still show everybody these really cool projects we're working on, but keep the grid really clean. So you might just want to publish all your professional imagery and quotes on your actual page, and then, or your grid, and then have your stories for all the on-site sort of in progress work, so people can still see that, because there's definitely value to those posts. But keep your grid clean for the people that are looking for those professional images.
I guess the grid is like the highlight reel and stories is behind the scenes.
Pardon?
So the grid is like a highlight reel, like
Yeah.
it's the showcase, and then the stories are behind the scenes footage of see how it was made.
Exactly. So it's really cool for us, because I think you can use it really effectively and still keep people in the loop about your personality. The stories really do just show a moment in time and give everybody an update on what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think as well, what's important for people when they work with tradies is that they work with someone they can trust, and stories are a great way of actually showing who you are as a person and building that trust with people so that they know who you are and your work ethic and stuff as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I think, like I said early on, I think people really go to social media to see raw versions of the companies, to make sure that they're reliable and trustworthy and real, and stories give the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and show the process of how someone's garden is going to be excavated.
Yes. Which some people might not want to see.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, the boys love it.
Awesome. Has anyone got any questions for Jessica while we're here? We'd love to answer any questions that you've got, or if you haven't thought of anything now but can think of something later, then you can always leave her a comment or get in touch directly. Jessica's actually one of the members of this group, and I'm sure she'd love to speak with any of you guys if you've got any questions. Just seeing if there's anything coming in. No, we must have a team of experts on social media in the group.
Done well.
I feel like we covered quite a lot in a lot of depth. So social media, I guess in summary, it can work really well if you decide what you use it for. That's what I've taken from this, and that Instagram is great for a young audience, Facebook's for a kind of older audience. What would your kind of closing statements be on social for tradies?
I guess, well, if you have the time to invest in social media and you're committed to it, you're happy to experiment and create the content that's right for your customers, it can be a really inexpensive way to get leads and promote your brand. If you don't have the time to do that, and that you're not going to have the time to invest, you're probably better off investing some money into a website and have somebody else do some basic SEO for you to get those leads through Google.
Great. We actually just had a question come in from Gabby who said, how active do you recommend being on Instagram?
It really depends on your content. So you're better off posting 2 or 3 times a week with good content rather than every few hours with poor content. So that might be one helpful article a week, one finished image of your project, and perhaps one engagement poll or tip. That would probably be sufficient, as long as you're doing all the other things right, like the hashtags and networking and commenting and liking on other pages. But if you have more, you can do it more often.
Yeah.
But I find with my clients that's sort of sufficient to their needs. And it is better than posting boring content every few hours.
Definitely. Quality over quantity, I think, is the mantra that everyone can live by on social media. Awesome. She also asks, for building a following in the construction world, do you recommend following similar accounts?
Similar accounts as in competitors, or did you want me to? Maybe I'll take it offline and I'll reach out to her after this.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, similar accounts. If it's competitor, probably not, right? But if it's sort of like in your, like you mentioned earlier about working alongside people who are, if you're a painter, then a renderer, then that is recommended.
Yes, there are other accounts, just not competitors. So I wouldn't
Yeah.
follow. Keep an eye on your competitor for sure, but I wouldn't be following them. But yeah, definitely other trades in your industry. Definitely like and follow those guys.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, as I said, if you do have some questions that come up, or you want us to have a look at your social media, then just drop a comment, and Jessica is part of the Aussie Tradies group as well, so she'll be able to see everything from you guys. And thank you so much for joining us today, Jessica. It was so interesting to hear from you and your tips. There's been some amazing advice that I'm sure everyone will find really useful. The people who've watched this live and the people who watch it back. So thank you so much for your time today. And we'll look forward to our next webinar together on the 19th of May, which will be about a website for your tradie business and SEO so that you rank on Google. And we'll also be joined by Jessica's colleague, who will be sort of talking on the SEO piece there. So I think that'll be really interesting. And just also to let you know that on Thursday, the 7th of May, we'll be announcing the Australian Tradie of the Year Awards winners. So make sure that you tune into that so that we can do the announcement right here on the Facebook group. And we're really excited to share who the winners are very soon. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Hey.